So let me talk a little bit about stress. And there's so much to say about stress that I don't even know where to start. But still, I thought that I'm going to explain you a little bit what's the connection between stress and energy. Because stress, it's a major energy consumption mechanism, and we all deal with stress all the time, especially in the modern day society. So imagine that when you have a stress factor, that's going to send a signal to the hypothalamus, which is right here in our brain. The hypothalamus, it's considered our brain's brain. It's responsible with keeping balance all the processes that are ran inside our bodies. I'm talking about the subconscious processes, so digestion, enzyme production, everything that happens in our bodies. So the hypothalamus is responsible to keep the balance of all of those processes and everything that functions in our body. So when there's a stress factor, the hypothalamus is going to sense that, and it's going to release corticotropin hormones, which is going to tell to the pituitary gland, which is a little bit right here, lower a little bit than the hypothalamus. And the pituitary gland is going to secrete some other hormones, ACTH hormones, which through the spinal cord. Now this is called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. So this is through the spinal cord and goes to the adrenal glands, which are sitting above your kidneys. And it's going to tell the adrenal glands to secrete adrenaline, noradrenaline, or cortisol. Now these are some other hormones that will affect in a way or another the body. So let me tell you a little bit about the adrenal glands. They are very tiny glands right here, and if you cut an adrenal gland, if you make a cross section of it, then you'll see that it's composed of a cortex, this area right here, and the medulla, which is right in the center. So stress can be acute, which is an immediate type of stress. It's also called the fight or flight response. So this is an immediate type of stress, or it can be chronic stress. So the medulla is going to secrete adrenaline and noradrenaline for the fight or flight response, so for the immediate type of stress. Now, what happens when you go in the woods, you're going in Africa, visiting over there, and suddenly you see a lion in the savannah? First, your eye pupil are going to dilate, then your face muscles are going to contract, your eyes are going to get bigger, your heartbeat is going to start to beat very fast, your breathing is going to increase, and inside in your bloodstream, sugar or glucose is going to be released, and also LDL cholesterol, and your blood vessels will constrict, and that's going to make the blood pressure go up. And what this does is to transport the glucose and oxygen is going to be pumped to your brain. Now see, glucose in this case is going to be taken from some other systems, other processes in the body, like from the energy that you need to make in order to build enzymes or who knows what else. So it's going to be taken from there, it's going to be used for this fight or flight response to produce more energy, and so you can run or fly or fight the situation. So one of the two. So in the case of chronic stress, it's a similar pathway actually, but in that case the hypothalamus is going to tell the adrenal glands right here to secrete cortisol, which is another hormone. Now all of these hormones are going to be secreted in your bloodstream. Now I can tell that these hormones, they have only bad or negative effect on your body. Actually these hormones, they keep you alive, so they have a good side as well, but in excess these hormones are going to have a negative effect, not only on your health but also on your energy. So that's why I'm telling you that cortisol, for example, needs to be kept in a balance. Too low cortisol, it's going to trigger a lot of health issues, but too much cortisol, what's going to do is to send a negative feedback to your hypothalamus, telling it that it shouldn't release any other hormones in the bloodstream just because the stressor became something normal. So a chronic type of stress over a long period of time, it can become reflex, and it can turn into something normal for the body. But imagine that in that normality, actually a lot of health issues can be triggered, and I have them here. I would start with obesity, osteoporosis, chronic fatigue, infertility, immune system suppression, decreased apoptosis. What's apoptosis? Your immune system all the time, it's fighting cancer cells that are trying to develop. Now if you don't have a strong immune system, then those cancer cells will develop even more and will divide, and that's called apoptosis, when your cancer cells are attacked by white blood cells and they're killed. Now if your apoptosis it's decreased, imagine that under stress, in that case your those cancer cells are going to develop even more and they will take over at one point. So other things will be increased inflammation, and there will be a decrease in concentration and memory. You might deal with insomnia, mood shifts, and depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, and a lot of other health problems. And not only that, but the whole thing, if you're thinking about chronic stress, all of these things right here, they will take energy. And not only, but also the glucose, it's going to be taken from your muscle tissue. So this means that your muscle might lose mass, and that glucose is going to be used to make more energy in order to fight this state of chronic stress. Now, what else I wanted to tell you? Even in this case, in the fight or flight situation, besides all of those things that I told you, those modifications in the bloodstream and all of that, what's going to happen? There will be a suppression on your immune system, and this means that your immune system becomes weaker, and also the blood, it's going to decrease the blood at your gut. So in this case, your digestion might not be as good as usual. But also imagine that you're under chronic stress. If the cortisol is going to affect your digestive system, the food that gets through your gut, it's not going to be digested properly. In that case, you might run into some nutrient deficiencies, and those nutrient deficiencies might trigger a lot of health issues. So this is pretty much the stress connection and the energy loss and the health issues that are triggered with it. And now next, let me talk a little bit about the types of stress that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the supplements that you can take in order to reduce a little bit stress, but not only that, but also to increase energy levels.